Okay, have you ever heard a song and just known it was from the 80s? It's got this sound that's kind of like from the future, but also totally from the past. It's wild. Well, today, we're going to figure out why. We're diving into how the 1980s was basically a massive system update for all of music, completely rewriting the code for how songs were made, right? You hear it in a movie, maybe a show like Stranger Things, and you instantly know it has this electronic, almost sci-fi vibe. So what was going on? How did music get that unique sound? The simplest answer? Music didn't just evolve, it got a full-on system update. Seriously, think of it like going from an old-school video game console to a brand new one. The rules, the tools, the sounds, they all got this revolutionary patch that pretty much changed everything. So let's break down exactly what was in that update. Okay, first chapter. To really get this update, you gotta see the before and after. So in the 70s, you had the raw, powerful energy of punk rock and the super smooth grooves of disco. The 80s took that DNA, but ran it through some brand new software. And what came out was this shiny, polished pop with a totally electronic feel. And it was all thanks to some seriously game-changing new hardware. So what was this new hardware? First up, synthesizers. These keyboards could create sounds that no normal instrument could make. We're talking bleeps, bloops, and these sweeping sounds that felt like they were straight out of a space movie. Then you had drum machines, which gave songs this super steady, kind of robotic beat that was just so catchy. And finally, the ultimate cheat code, multi-track recording. Think of it like using layers in Photoshop or a video editor, but for sound. It let producers stack all these instruments on top of each other, making these huge, super clear, and really complex songs. And the first big thing to come out of all this new tech was a movement called New Wave. It was kind of like a cool indie game that suddenly went viral and changed the entire music scene. So what even was New Wave? Well, think of it as punk rock's artsy, kind of weirder cousin. It had that same rebellious vibe, but it swapped out the loud, messy guitars for these bright, catchy synthesizer melodies. It sounded totally fresh, totally different. It really sounded like the future. But here's the thing about New Wave. It wasn't just about the music. It was the whole package. Of course, you had the awesome synth hooks and choruses you couldn't get out of your head, but the look was just as important. We're talking bold, colorful clothes, wild hairstyles, crazy makeup. The whole vibe was everything. And that visual side of music, that whole vibe, it was about to absolutely explode, thanks to another massive game changer. The year is 1981. Mark this down. This is the moment everything changed again. Because in 1981, a new channel called MTV launched. Now, before this, you pretty much only heard music, on the radio. But MTV was a 24/7 TV channel that did nothing but play music videos. It was basically the YouTube or TikTok of its day. And it meant that, for the very first time, you could actually see your favorite artist perform whenever you wanted. And this is the key. All of a sudden, an artist's look, their personal brand, their avatar, became just as important as their sound. Your music video was your chance to show off your style, tell a story, and build a following. If you had a cool video, your song had a way, way better chance of becoming a massive hit. And this new way of making and seeing music didn't just stay in its own little corner. Nope, this update rolled out everywhere. It took over pop, it took over rock, it took over dance music, everything. So a whole new formula for a hit song was born. You absolutely needed that killer synthesizer hook and a melody you couldn't shake. You needed that electronic drum beat. But look, a huge piece of the puzzle was also the visual style and the branding. It was all about the complete package. Artists like Michael Jackson and Madonna totally mastered this new formula. They became the first true global video superstars. I mean, their music videos were like movie premieres. And this trend was so huge that even classic rock bands who were famous for their guitars started throwing synthesizers into their songs just to stay relevant. So why does any of this matter to you today? Because the code that was written back in the 1980s, it's still running in the background of pretty much all modern music. You can hear its influence absolutely everywhere. So what did this 80s update permanently install in music? Well, for one, it made electronic instruments a normal part of pop music. 2, it made having a music video totally essential for any artist. 3, it basically merged fashion and branding with an artist's music forever. And 4, It created the blueprint for the global pop superstars that we have today. But hey, if you only remember one thing from all this, make it this sentence right here. The 1980s proved to the world that what music looks like can be just as powerful, just as important as what it sounds like. Your eyes became as important as your ears. And that kind of leaves us with one last question. The 80s were defined by synths and music videos. So what about right now? What sound, or what tech, or what trend from today's music do you think people will be talking about in 40 years? Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.